Whoever is not master of themselves will always remain a slave. This reflection introduces one of the most complex themes explored by Hermann Hesse. What does it truly mean to be free? Is it the absence of rules or complete independence from society? Or is there a deeper paradox behind the concept of freedom that challenges every certainty? Hesse, one of the greatest writers of the 20th century, explored these questions in his novels, giving voice to tormented characters like Harry Haller, Siddhartha, and Emil Sinclair. All were united by the same pursuit, breaking free from the chains of convention and living according to their inner truth. But every step toward independence revealed a harsh reality filled with solitude, responsibility, and inner conflict. This video offers a reflection on the challenges of freedom, delving into the contradictions hidden behind the desire for independence and the lessons Hermann Hesse left behind. The concept of freedom has always been one of the most powerful driving forces of human existence. Often associated with the ability to determine one's own path, it is seen as the possibility to choose one's destiny without external constraints. But is it really that simple? According to Hesse, freedom is a complex journey filled with doubts and contradictions. In his novels, he tells the stories of characters striving to break free from both visible and invisible societal chains. Harry Haller, the protagonist of Steppenwolf, embodies the struggle of one who tries to detach from social conventions in order to embrace a radical form of freedom. But his escape from society does not lead to happiness. Instead, it traps him in a tormented and solitary existence. The more he distances himself from social norms, the deeper he falls into the crisis of a freedom that turns into a prison. His independence becomes isolation, and his solitude grows heavier, pushing him to the brink of despair. Similarly, Siddhartha, in his spiritual journey, gives up everything he possesses: family, wealth, and relationships. But his quest for liberation leads him to realize that absolute detachment from the material world is not synonymous with true freedom. Only when he accepts the flow of life and recognizes its inevitable complexity does he find genuine inner peace. Emil Sinclair, the protagonist of Demian, is torn between two worlds: the morality imposed by society and the darker realm of individual truth filled with uncertainty. Sinclair embarks on a difficult path to free himself from social norms, but the price of his freedom is a constant sense of confusion and disorientation. It is through Demian's guidance that he learns to live with the shadows of his own existence, discovering that freedom is not about isolation, but about the conscious acceptance of one's contradictions. Hesse teaches that freedom is an ambivalent concept. On one side, there is the desire to break chains, to escape expectations and impose limits. On the other, there is the heavy responsibility that freedom carries. Once free from social norms, one must confront the void of choice, the uncertainty of a life without clear reference points. Harry Haller believes that the only way to be truly free is to reject all bonds and isolate himself. But this vision leads him into despair. Without the presence of others, without a sense of belonging, freedom transforms into a prison of silence and solitude. Siddhartha faces a similar realization. After giving up all possessions and relationships, he finds himself lost. Only when he understands that freedom is not the denial of life, but the acceptance of its flow, does he find harmony. The dilemma is clear. The more one seeks independence, the more one faces the abyss of loneliness. Absolute freedom can become a new form of captivity. Yet Hesse offers a glimmer of hope. His message is that authentic freedom is not isolation, but the conscious choice of how to live. It is the ability to decide which connections to nurture, which values to uphold, and how to engage with the world without losing oneself in it. Harry Haller, through his experience with Hermann and the liberating power of art and love, discovers that freedom is not about rejecting the world entirely, but about how one chooses to engage with it. It is not about closing oneself off, but about consciously deciding what holds value. Siddhartha, guided by the symbol of the river, learns that freedom is found in flowing with life, in accepting and understanding the whole of existence. His journey leads him to realize that every experience, even painful ones, is an essential part of life. Finally, Emil Sinclair comes to understand that freedom is also about connection. It is not a solitary escape, but a shared journey with those who understand and embrace the complexity of their being. His friendship with Demian becomes the key to building an authentic identity, one capable of embracing both light and shadow. Hesse's message is clear. True freedom is not achieved by eliminating connections or rejecting rules, but by consciously choosing what to integrate into one's life. It is a freedom born from inner strength and the ability to accept oneself and the world as they are. The paradox of freedom is that absolute independence is ultimately an illusion. It is often believed that being free means breaking every bond, distancing oneself from anything that could limit personal autonomy. But this is only part of the truth. Authentic freedom is not conquered in the emptiness of isolation, but in the delicate balance between autonomy and connection, between detachment and participation. As Jean-Paul Sartre once said, man is condemned to be free, condemned because he did not create himself, yet free because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does. And this condemnation carries the weight of choices and the responsibilities that every freedom entails. The real challenge, then, is not to flee from the world, but to learn how to inhabit it consciously. It is about accepting one's place in it without losing oneself. It is about finding a way to choose what truly matters, distinguishing between what liberates and what imprisons. And within this conscious choice lies the highest form of freedom. As Albert Camus wrote, freedom is nothing else but a chance to be better. And part of that freedom includes the right to be wrong. Being free means embracing uncertainty, accepting the risk of failure, and taking responsibility for giving meaning to one's own decisions. Likewise, Friedrich Nietzsche emphasized that becoming who you are is the ultimate goal of every authentic existence. But to achieve this, one must confront personal contradictions, fears, and illusions. Those very things that often push people to seek refuge in a false sense of independence. Freedom, therefore, is not a final conquest, but an ongoing journey, marked by setbacks and progress, difficult choices, and hard-earned awareness. So, what does it mean for you to live a truly free life? Is it perhaps the search for untouched solitude? In the end, every answer is unique and unrepeatable, just like every existence. And perhaps this is the deepest meaning of freedom. Having the courage to build one's own path, even when it is uncertain, and choosing every day who one wants to be.